This is episode 275 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Gio Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. My otolaryngologist had at me with or ENT if psychodosh Manzano. I don't know what half those words were.
You almost got it. You did. You get a B.
I got a B. Okay.
On the otolaryngologist. You get an F on the synecdoche.
What? Really?
Synecdoche is basically just a way of saying that you're using a small word to represent a bigger piece of the pie.
Ah. I understood what you said. Will, E-Wings, Wookiees, Phantoms, X-Wing, we need X-Wing, Hagwood.
This is X-Wing.
And Ryan, give me a Republic Arc 170 for 4 points, Staniszewski.
They don't see play at 5. Make him 4. 4. You tone on the letter, it's fine. Just give me 4.
He wants 4 chonky boys. All right.
Oh, just give 1. It's fine. 4 points.
Just
B.
True of them. True. Like, not the generic, right? That's not what you're asking for. You just give me. So you wouldn't care if it's
Arc 170. I don't care which one.
Who's the worst one?
The funny part is
that's kind of the problem
really
is that there's not one.
Like, people used to think Jag was the worst, but that's because you couldn't equip Torps on him. But he has the loadout for Torps now. So I guess if you drop some of them down to no Torps available, it's probably Jag then instead of Wolf.
True. I see you. Well, as for announcements and news, here's an update on the Save TTT front. The team is coming together. People are responding to my email. I have officially sent it out for people who wanted to be a part of it. We are working on scheduling a meeting for next weekend so that we can build a plan. It's a 4-phase plan. All right. And we're compiling ideas and things. So super excited about that. Do I have specifics? Can I give you them? No, but we are. It's one of my things that I'm working on in the background. So thank you for that. And secondly, an update. So right before the podcast, I took some time and I had been talking about the GSP OP kits. All right, trying to figure out something that I could put together for X-Wing communities to be able to get their hands on, to have for tournaments, because there hasn't been any new prize support for that. So what I've done is I've put together a set of cards, 24 cards, 5 copies of 4 different cards, and 4 copies of a plastic card that you would use for like a top 4, essentially. And I wanted to get them up on the shop today. The problem is some of the complications with like shipping and how that works with our website. But basically, the cost on the kit is going to be $10 plus whatever it is to ship it to your country. All right. So for instance, in the United States, that'll be about $5. If you're in Australia, unfortunately, that's like $18. And if you're in the UK, I think when I looked at it, it was like $16. So what I'm going to end up doing is going to be multiple kind of posts for it. You'll see GSPOP kit for the US, and that'll end up being your total. We're going to start it at limit 1, and we're going to call this Series 1. Okay, that way it's easy for me to put them together. And I basically made as many of that set as I could, which was 18 of them. I don't know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I didn't want to commit, several hours making hundreds of these until I figure out what it is. So anyway, more information to come. If you're on Discord, I'm basically going to tag people and say, hey, they're available when they become available, ideally this week, so that you guys can get some stuff. And yeah, so there you go. And last update for patrons. Andrew is working steadily on getting things out. Watch your email for the shipping. And last shipping thing to talk about. If you want a stream prize, I have emptied the queue of all the stream prizes except for 3, and that's because I can't find those 3 people's ships. I'm looking for them. They are somewhere, and if I cannot find them, I will get you another one. All right? So, soon.
It's not the Ahsoka ships, is it?
No. I don't know where you are. No, those are shipped out. Tier. I put them in the box. It was just like, I did keep one for myself. It is right there. I had to find it. All right, I kept one for myself. But we gave away 3 of them.
I know we did. That's why I was wondering if those are the 3 ships that would miss it.
No. It's a Psy shuttle, a G1A, and one where a person didn't explain which one it was, and I'm just looking. I was like, I'm not sure which one it is. So, anyway, I sent them an email. Was like, hey, what'd you win? They could say anything technically if they wanted to, but don't do that. And of course, a reminder about the Isophane initiative. If you want to give to that initiative, help some people get to Worlds, type !ISO, ISO. There's the link to it. All the explanation is there. Shout out to Isophane and team for that initiative. And should be good times. All right. So, today, we put a shout out to the community and said, hey, listen, we have the Oricon Galactic Championship qualifier around the corner. It's this weekend. We have Nova the weekend after that, I believe, is what it is. So 2 premier level events back to back after leaving Gen Con. And I kind of wanted to know where the community's head is at right now, whether it is you have a question about just about the state of the game, or where are you list building wise if you were going to an event like that, or maybe you are going to an event, whether it's Oricon or Nova. Kind of where are things shifting now that we've seen what we've seen? So that's what I want to talk about today. And I figured we would start with our questions of the week. Gents, in our notes, I have them all listed there. So feel free. Will, I'll alley-oop it to you. You choose first. Who do you want to hit up?
I am going to choose the most fun one first, for sure. Because I was already looking at pilots for it. And so we're going to go with Psych J7's question here. With the Battle of Yavin coming out soon, if you could choose a faction, make a new version of a pilot, who would you choose, and what ability would be the standard loadouts? I mean, most standard loadouts, if I'm not mistaken, have 3 abilities plus a ship ability, and then sometimes they get a faction ability on top of it. So I'm not going to go that in depth, probably. But oh man, I'm torn between Han Solo from the Solo movie, but I think the more interesting one would be Zori Bliss from the Battle of Exegol, I think is the official name of the finale battle. And I just want her ship ability to be hey, because she rides around with Babu Frick.
Yes.
And I don't know what they would do. I guess it would probably be. So I guess she right now when I guess I would make it the inverse, which right now she gets an action when others take an action. I'm actually going to turn her into a support ship by saying when she takes an action, 2 ships at range 1 of her can take the same action. So assuming it's probably going to be target lock, right? But then she can only do that so many times. Like Babu Frick's hey ability would only be maybe 2 or 3 charges of that very powerful ability.
How many times does he say hey, like the word hey in it? Is it 2 or 3? Is it hey or hey?
It's 2.
I think it's
charges.
just two.
Two
Two charges. That's it.
Okay, so
One
two
per
charges
hay.
on the ability, but it's still very powerful to be, like I said, assuming she's just going to be handing out target locks when she target locks. But it would allow a built-in wartime loadout onto the card, so you wouldn't have to worry about using the configuration or not. This would be just the wartime style for the Y-Wing. And I don't know, I'll throw her a bunch of goofy stuff like white boost and a bunch of other crazy things. Maybe some bombs, of course. I mean, I guess, yeah, I guess bomb. That's just a token, though. I don't have to like flip that or anything. So, but yeah, I would really like to see more Babu Frick, one of the best characters out of that whole movie.
So the pilot would say Zori Bliss, and would you in the subtitle put hey hey? Like as a reference to Babu,
no,
or would you put like with Babu?
That would be like one of her abilities. Like
The ability would be hey hey.
Yeah, the ability would just be called hey hey or
Okay.
whatever. You know how they have like I don't know, there was like hope. I guess was the rebel one. I forget what the other ones. Her special ability. Or what's Han's? Doesn't Han have a bunch of? He has like fly solo. Yeah, isn't that like the name of that ability?
Yeah,
it's called
okay.
Solo.
It would be like that. Well, which I think is cool. More named abilities like that. And then I don't know. Maybe a faction-wide ability. I don't know what that would be. I'd have to think more on that. Something with like being resistant to ion or something because of all the lightning in that battle. I guess. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'd be in to see it all coming. You know what it would be. You know, the final loadout and everything together of that story with the fun Babu Freak interaction.
I think.
I mean, like, what would you take for your ship?
Oh, I had to think about this one. So I'm my route on like the standardized loadouts is they probably don't work well in terms of like coming in a pack unless the pack is meant to be like mismatch stuff. Like I want to see Poe in the TIE SF with Finn Gunner level of thing. I want to see like Han piloting the shuttle Tidarium, the Lambda that dropped him down for Endor.
Under the Star.
The ones
Oh,
that
the
like
Endor.
stolen chassis or things like that. The ones that don't make sense, right?
Oh, that there you just handed them look at that. Star Wars X-Wing stolen chassis. Or that's you were ready. You gave them a title. That's free, AMG. You're welcome. All right. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and you can do your normal Rebel tie stuff from the Rebels. That one already kind of works, but you can reintroduce them in standardized cards.
Yeah.
Or they could maybe come back with Sabine's EMP device, but it's only ever on that chassis and never on anything else, so it can be potentially powerful. It can't be on anything else. What's some other good stolen chassis in the past that we've seen, or pilots that would never show up in this unless it was a multi-faction ship, but only for that one pilot type of thing? Am I missing any other big ones?
Rey in the X-Wing, Kylo Ren in the TIE Fighter.
Yeah. But those are at least kind of within faction, or at least close, right?
Right.
You're talking for really crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah, Sabine and Ezra taking the TIE Defender in that episode of Rebels 2.
Oh, man.
Jake.
I think if you came up with that though, you'd have to include the mechanic where the wings pop off. And they're not able to fly anymore. So something along the lines of like if they take a critical damage, something like that. Like the ship is disabled somehow. Like it gains an ion, like what in the game, ion and a weapon's disabled. Like something like that. But it's a defender and maybe it's cheap, but it has that risk where you can disable it pretty easily.
Vader in the Ada before he ever got in the TIE series of ships. That's a good one. I mean, what about all the times Hondo stole any ship, right? Just pick a ship Hondo stole. It's probably there somewhere. And realistically, didn't he have the Slave One for a little bit?
Apparently, everybody can fly the Slave One with how they're handing out the titles in X-Wing.
That's right. Oh, Ray and the TIE Whisper.
She did fly it.
She did fly it.
That's true.
She flew it to Octo.
Then she
You're right.
burnt it. I think she crash landed and was just covering her tracks. It was like, no, it was on purpose.
That's cool. All right. I like where that is though. Just kind of like taking I mean, you could make.
See them in the movies and the TV shows, but they're probably gonna never come out in a normal pack. I mean, it's got to be a standardized pack type of thing.
I'm trying to think of a Clone Wars one other than Anakin and Obi-Wan taking that speeder. I don't think we could do the convertible speeder.
Oh, you want to talk like old school Clone Wars here? The 2D animated series. Mace Windu piloted a vulture droid by grabbing its head, pulling its circuits out, and started flying it like a chariot. That's exactly Mace Windu piloting a vulture.
I need it now. I want to see AMG commission that art. Like I would be curious to see how aggressive would that Mace Windu look? Because I mean,
I'd love to see someone try to make a tiny little miniature Mace on top of a tiny little like vulture droid ship in the real game.
Yes, I mean we got plenty of creative people out there. I'm sure somebody would be up for it. And yes, having a 3-Force vulture droid sounds pretty sweet. All right. Ryan, I'll pass it over to you. We got a list of questions. Which one do you want to tackle next?
Okay, here's one. From Alex Feliciano. Why do you think the Mando Commandos, basically all of the versions of the Commandos that we see, don't see much competitive play? I think it's probably because the best chassis to bring them on is the Gauntlet, and the Gauntlet itself is not really competitive right now. Most gauntlets cost 7 points in the Rebel faction. That's the same as Luke. You're probably taking Luke first anyway. In the Imperial faction, it's the same cost as X1 Vader. Probably taking that. Or you're taking a Morna Key or an Oiken. Those are all 7 points. In the Scum faction, you're looking at all the fire sprays that partner with Boba in a Boba Kanan plus fire spray, or you're looking at Bosk, or you're looking at Fen Rao, and even the more expensive gauntlets are definitely like if the 7s don't feel good, the higher you go, it feels even worse. Especially Maul at 9 points. That is definitely overcosted, or the stuff that is also 9 points right now, being like Boba and Defender Vader, probably would need to be higher if you keep Maul Gauntlet at 9, and so on and so forth. All the other factions. I mean, the only 3-die attack, the only large base ship in Republic, the Bo-Katan Gauntlet, and the generic one, but who cares about that, is outclassed because 7B Anakin is 7 points as well. Just. They're not worth it. And you could put them on other chassis, but the crew slot is very valuable in most factions right now. You look at Imperial; they're going big. They're big in on Seven Sister right now. That's 9 points. Doesn't normally have a lot with 2 crew slots to be able to take the Imperial Commandos. On the Rebel side. The things that have 2 crew slots right now that people are taking, the U-Wings have very set loadouts right now that people are sticking to that help them stay alive and shoot better. And then you're also looking at the Falcons, which usually spend their points on stuff like Bistan and percentage co-pilots to do double shots. And Resistance doesn't really have double crew unless you're taking
Resistance doesn't have commandos.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, because it's not sequels anyway. The Lats have all those Force crew that are much more valuable, and then as we've seen the emergence of the C-3PO and Corky, from Duncan. And Separatists, their only double crew comes from maybe an infiltrator that I'm missing that would load out, and then the gauntlet itself, and that's it. So they don't have very many ways to do it. And Scum has a lot of double crew, but as maybe one of our other questions might allude to, besides Boba, other Fire Spray, Kane, and Hawk right now, there's a lot of people kind of struggling finding the pieces in Scum right now to put together besides Boba, Kanan stuff, or Kanan and other stuff in general. We'll probably get to that question later. Any disagreements there? Any people?
No, I mean, the person I've seen do the best is Andrew Goldbach at Gen Con. And we got to see a game of his on stream. If you didn't get to watch it live, it should be available for our Twitch subscribers, and it'll be on our YouTube channel in a couple weeks. And I think one of the other things about Commandos, like, so as an idea, they seem good, right? They're kind of almost like a form of control, or more like threat, right? It's like if you land on them, they give, I think, a strain. Is that what it is, right? You land on them, you could be given strain. And then, of course, you have the possibility of being shot by them as well. So, like, they have a big upside. I think we saw Andrew roll had a double crit roll that just hurt somebody real bad. Like, but at the same time, you can blank out and you just wasted a charge, and that feels bad. So I think the lack of consistency versus something like a force charge that happens every single turn, it might be the reason why we're seeing people not go for it. There's probably everything has a price where it looks super good, right? So we'll see where it goes after over time. But I definitely agree with Ryan overall. Marcel, which question would you like to tackle, good sir?
Hey, since we already started on this one, we'll just keep going on it. It's from Hayden Gibbons. It says, I've been struggling to play Scum in the current meta. I've been experimenting a lot at tournament level play, and I have had nearly as much success as I haven't had as nearly as much success as I've had with the Empire, my other main faction. I would love to hear our thoughts on Scum's most competitive meta archetypes, because he hasn't seen anything with resounding success other than the double Fire Spray plus Falcon, which I believe actually would be more like the double Fire Spray plus Kanan is what we've been seeing more often. So I actually think the Scum in general is probably one of the best factions to tinker with, because they have that along with the Empires. But you already said with the Empire, you're doing that. They have the most number of ships, the largest quantity of ships that can be good when put together with other things. The problem is that you have to tinker and find that really synergetic combination. It's not a lot of standalone ships that will just be good because they're good. You know, like you put Wedge and Luke, they're going to be good if you put one in each corner, and they're just going to be good. Like they don't have that. They do rely on each other for support. So I was just writing a list of ships that, as an example, are good, and then I'll also just probably feed a couple of how you can actually put them together, but that are playable, and I think are competitive in the meta when, again, paired together with other things. So I've got, of course, Boba Fett is good. Eamon is good. We've already talked about those two. It's the double Fire Spray with Kanan. So Kanan. But other ones are Sarasu. I think Sarasu at 4 points, especially Sarasu with a proton torpedo, and Gamut Key specifically with Protectorate Gleb, making him be able to be turns into essentially like a double coordinator, because with Gamut's ability, it's kind of like coordinating because you're letting somebody retain a token, and then you're also given a token. So when you put those together, for example, in with Doug Howe's XTC list, he's got Boba Fett, Sarasu, Lima K, which is an Initiative 5 Y-Wing with 14 loadout points. Basically, throw a dorsal turret and a proton torpedo. And Gamut Key, that allows you to have 2 double-modded proton torpedoes at Initiative 5 from Sarasu and Lima K. And those double mods coming from Gamut with Protector of Gleb, feeding those initiative ones, and then feeding those tokens for the double mods, and then Boba Fett again with the third initiative 5 just being a heavy hitter. So that's a list that can punch as hard as the Rebel Alpha. And it does have some survivability because it's got enough juice in it to survive that Rebel Alpha. But you're not going to kill Boba. Sarasu has the rerolls, plus you give it elusive. Actually, it doesn't have elusive, but it has the rerolls, and it has you're probably protecting him a little bit more against Wedge. But other than Wedge, it's going to survive. And then Gamma Key is just there feeding stuff. Other ships that are exceptionally good is Manaru. A lot of people have been using Manaru. There's multiple ways of loading it out, but it's usually something like Gar Saxon, Punishing Title, and Notorious is probably a good combination for that one. Ahav is a good ship on its own. Q90 at 6 points. I forgot who it was, but somebody loaded it out in a way that basically it never dies. So you have a never dying with Maul and Child, I think. Was it Maul and Child?
There was the Child, and I think it's Mando, isn't it?
Yeah, it was something where every time it gets shot, it regenerates force, it's reinforced, it's not dying, it's shooting, and it's doing offensive and defensive mods, and it's just a really bad target. The YVs are still good. Bosk I don't think Bosk will never not be good, especially when he's 7 points.
It just hits so hard.
A really good game. Yeah, it's a really good. You get a really good value for 7 points with Bosk. Moralo, I think, is very sneaky. It's an underutilized ship, especially with objectives, because Moralo can basically just show up in the middle of nowhere and disrupt the formation. And with 20 loadout points, you can do a lot. And I think the most overlooked ship out there is the autopilot drone as well. And I'm not saying that ironically this time. Like, literally the autopilot drone for 2 points, if the way that you're loading out your squad, you have 2 points on there, you have a coordinator for 3 turns, and you have the autopilot drone is really good at pushing a formation out of the way. It's just really good at that. So you got a coordination for the first 3 turns, and then you also have basically you're lobbing a bomb, you're putting it in the center, and you're saying don't come in this area. And you're giving up 2 points, but usually what we say with TIE fighters is you got to get your 2 points worth. And that's really how you're looking at games now. Are you getting 2 points worth with a ship? And it is. Again, I wouldn't build around it, but if what you have, a lot of the times, you might be at 18 and be like, there's no, like, just take it. Like, don't be afraid to build what you have. Again, you're taking all this combination of ships and just have 2 points left over, or you have an Alpha Strike version. You have something that, let's say you got Sarasu and you don't have like the rest of Doug's loadout, but you want to make sure that Sarasu is loaded and double modded for the first couple turns. There you go. I mean, he's going to make that happen for you, and you're not afraid to lose him, so that's a good buy.
Here's a question.
There's a ton of options.
So here's a question. One of the ships that has disappeared, and I feel like has a very strong, like, at least for a long time, had a very strong scum identity, is the Fang Fighter, right? Specifically, Fen Rao. Competitively, we're talking about competitively, not in casual play. In casual play, do what you want. It's fine. But if I'm trying to win a tournament, can I win a tournament with Fen Rao? I don't believe. We just got anybody who's just listening. All we have is head shaking. I mean, I'm asking this question because I know a lot of people, when they think scum list, or at least especially if you've been playing a long time, you think of Fang Fighters as front of mind when you come to scum. Like, why? Can you explain to me, aka somebody who maybe doesn't know why? Why can't I play why can't I play Fang Fighters right now competitively?
Because they're too expensive, and there's too many ships out there. They need their action, so they're in reposition, so they're automatically going to be bad at 2 of the missions out there. So they're going to be mad at salvage and what the other one is called,
Scramble,
or whatever it's called, scramble, yeah. And there is a ton of ships out there right now, and because you're out there getting objectives, you're not facing, you're not jousting, you're gonna get shot at range 2 and 3 and everywhere in between, and you're gonna end up bumping. And it's just, especially at bumping, you bump Fen Rao, all of a sudden you go from 4 dice to 3. So you lose all of the benefits at range 0. It's not because at range 0 you don't get any of the benefits anymore, right? So
to me, that's probably his biggest penalty right now, is that Concordia Dawn doesn't work at range 0, and he doesn't get the extra dice either.
And he's 7 points. I mean, it's just. I mean,
that's just Fen Rao. Like, the other ones cost 5 points. Like, what you can do with 5 points in Scum. Like, you just listed off a bunch of ships who cost 6 and 7 points. Like, man, that's one heck of an upgrade from, like, Joy Rekhoff to Bosk for just a couple of squad points.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or just a fire spray. Like, 2 more points from a Fang to a fire spray.
I mean, just think about it. Manaru. You get way more value out of the 5 points of Manaru than you ever will out of any of the. Not any of it. I mean, Fen Rao is better, but then you're paying 7, so then you're comparing him to.
Yeah, if we're comparing the 5-point Fangs, yeah, I was going to mention Manaru. Manaru's still an extremely good 5-point option in Scum. I think another thing is you got to look at what's in the meta right now. Both iterations of Vader can make Fangs really sad. Crits, whether it's from Malice on Defender Vader or whether it's from just the advanced targeting computer on X1 Vader. And if either of them get to move after Fen Rao's really sad. In Defender Vader, because I always get my full mods essentially with Force. It's going to be a painful shot no matter what range it's at. And then on the other side with First Order, yeah, you better kill that FO bomber if you get to range 1, otherwise it'll go bomb you next turn. And good luck getting to range 1 with chaff clouds with a token. So it's not a good world to be a Fang right now, because it wants to get range 1. And the things that are probably considered to be, or what I would consider to be things you need to have plans for and expect to face in Swiss, it's not going to come out positive for a Fang. Not to have a Fang list, Marcel, when you mentioned, obviously the Fang chassis and the Fang pilots themselves do not want to do scenario actions. I 100% agree. But that doesn't mean they have to be the ones doing it in a list. You have other ships to do that. So would I bring more than one Fang? Absolutely not. Would I bring one? Maybe. The only one I would consider right now is Old T. He's 6, which still feels a little expensive, but he's got a serious amount of loadout, and his ability doesn't exactly make certain ships right now very happy losing their tokens that they worked so hard to get a stack of. But even then, it's still iffy. Like, I'm not confident on that Old T, but it's the most confident Fang I can say.
All right. And and I see some people kind of working out like, well, maybe we have this ability to stop. So like here, I'll just read some out. So Psych J7 was like, what about Tapoos to stop force regen? First time caller was like, you could pair maybe Fen with Torkoal in order to fight off Vader. I think the problems there is now you're building your list around a single piece to keep it alive, and we've seen Fen Rao be a god, but I think the inclusion of range 0 and those scenario actions in a tournament, mind you, the scope we're talking about is in a tournament setup where you are going to have to play all of the objectives. I think it puts you he becomes a liability more than a boon. But hey, if you are brave enough to give it a go for it. But to answer specifically going back to Hayden's question, Marcel gave you a bunch of options there. Check those out. Start experimenting with those, and maybe take a second look at ships that you didn't think of. Like one of the other things is like Scum for a long time has been really good at chance engagement, so you're kind of used to grabbing specific pieces. Marcel, you were mentioning Doug Howe's list. You said Lima Kai, which was is a ship that kind of popped up once in a while, but wasn't super popular. Sarasu as well, another maybe more popular M3A, especially when there was a bunch of M3As kind of swarms happening out there. But dig through some of those abilities. Scum likes to have some fun.
And look at the XCC lists. I think that's another. Just they've already been published. They're out there somewhere. Just see what people built for the team event.
All right, now Joe W asked a big hot button, maybe not quite hot button, but a bigger, a broader question. So he asked, does the objective format need some more tweaking, or is it good where it is? So if we're talking about I'm assuming you're talking just to kind of maybe, because this question could potentially be construed in different ways. We're going to talk about it in a tournament kind of sense, and maybe just the way that they interact with an event. So does it need some more tweaking? I think AMG is a lot closer today than they were when we first got objectives. I think, can we all agree on that? Yeah?
Yeah, never going back.
Right.
Let the past die on that one. Ain't nobody playing that legacy version, I'll tell you that much.
No. And as for tweaking, I mean, for me, all the games that I have played in objectives, I have felt satisfied. Like, I have lost some pretty badly, but it's because of things you would have lost badly before. Bad decision making, bad approach, legitimately sometimes like, oh, hey, my dice just said no in the wrong spot, and now I lost an important piece at a certain amount of time. I mean, right now I think we're good with the objective format in and of itself. Could points be tweaked? Could loadouts be tweaked? Absolutely. There's always those little levers that can be adjusted in order to basically change the meta. That's how you do it, right? Is by changing those points. But right now I think we're good. Could we use additional objectives like scenarios? Sure. But I mean, we still. Would you guys agree here? After being at Gen Con, like, there are still people who aren't familiar enough with the 4 that we have, right? So much so to to not know like the names even of what they do. But we had a lot of people, a lot of questions at Gen Con. There was a lot of like, how does this work again? Which one is this? We even had people play the wrong objective at certain times. All right. All right. So, I mean, what do you guys think on that? I mean, I think right now we're okay. And maybe in a year or so, add a couple of objectives, like different scenarios to spice it up.
So, a couple of things. I don't think that salvage is that the one, the tow, the
Yeah.
cargo. I don't think that one's okay. I think that one. Farmer put a poll up on his page. I think like a week or two ago. Like, which is your least favorite one? And I think 75% of the people that voted salvage for a reason, because it is the least enjoyable one. And Brandon, our local Progress, we had a really good point, and other people were like on the same page. Is like, what is the point? To pick something up and then just stay in the fight. Like, you're not thematically, it doesn't make sense. Logistically, it doesn't make sense. There's 5 of those objectives. It's not even 3. It's just it's counterintuitive. So you're handicapping yourself to carry something and collect points, but you're not salvaging. You're not taking it anywhere. Like, it's like, to me, it would make a lot more sense if you had to pick something up and then fly off the board or take it to within range 1 of your board edge, and then you get 5 points or something, where it makes it worthwhile for you to like take the trip to get all the way out there and get one of your ships out of the fight, or at least have some purpose. But right now, I think the mechanic of it, like, oh, I pick it up, therefore I can't barrel roll, I can't boost, I can't reposition. I think that just changes the mechanic of the game, the mechanic of the ships and the way they play. So it changes the game significantly more than the other ones do. It's not just getting rid of an action, which adds to the confusion you're talking about. If because now you're thinking like, oh, you can't do this, and well, before you couldn't coordinate, so can you coordinate now? It just a lot more confusing. So I don't like that objective at all, or that mission at all. And I think the internet, based on that poll,
The hive minds
seems to not like it either. So that one can use some tweaking. And I also think that making 6, adding a couple more in there is not. You don't have to wait to do it. You can do it, and then it's. I mean, people will just learn it. I mean, it's
okay.
I mean, it is that. I mean, the people who don't know it now, like, I don't know any of the names. Well, I know Chance Engagement, but
I wonder which one's your favorite.
Huh?
What?
My favorite is the King of the Hill, actually. So I think that's my favorite. But the people who don't know the names still won't know the name. They just won't know 6 instead of 4. And the people who
Right.
don't know all the rules still won't know all the rules. They just won't know the rules for 6. But the people who take the time to study it and know the name, know the way that it plays out, knows the strategy for it. If they know it for 4, they're going to know it for 6. So I don't think it's going to change. It's just going to be more of the same. And I think it'll be more of the same
more in that
and complete.
mindset, like, get the same internet reaction that you just mentioned, though?
I mean,
If you said nothing's going to change, wouldn't that be true whether we have the same amount of objectives or more?
no, what I meant was nothing was going to change in terms of the player in relation to the missions. Like, the people who know the missions will know the missions. The people who understand them will understand them. The people who don't know them will still not know them. What will change is it'll add a little more variety to the tournaments, and especially, again, talking in a competitive sense, since 6 seems to be the max number of rounds that a tournament will go after hitting like a certain threshold. I think it makes sense to have one of each versus regurgitating 2 of them in Swiss and possibly regurgitating 1 or 2 in the cut, depending on how many make the cut. So I think 6 is for tournament play. I think 6 is a good number.
So, go ahead, Ryan.
We'll say, kind of in defense of salvage a little bit. So I can see why people don't like it. It's fine. Everyone has their preferences. But but I think it is an important check on some of the ships that have the capability of action plus reposition, double reposition, repositioning in general, right? If you have, because if you look at scramble, you look at assault, you look at chance, those all could have a benefit by a ship or chassis have something related to repositioning. Whether it's like an Aether Sprite, you can do a reposition and then their action, which can be a scenario action. Whether it's a silencer or an interceptor that can do an action then a reposition, or just repositioning at all to get to those King of the Hill points, or making sure you're in range 2 bubble of chance engagement, skirting the edge, and deciding whether you want to commit in or not. Salvage says, hey, you repositioning ships, if you go all in on repositioning, and that's your bread and butter, you are going to have a challenge in salvage. That's the point. You need a well-rounded list. Or if you don't want a well-rounded list, that's okay. You just have to understand that you are going to tank one objective. You're taking that risk. That's a calculated risk you have to know. If you don't know, then you just built your list and didn't care, which can happen. I think it's important that a type of that objective exists. Now, whether it's built in the exact same way that it still is, I don't know. I do like the idea of having a reason to carry something to somewhere. There's an objective in Legion. It's it's called Bombing Run. You denote certain ships in your list at the start, or you could treat it like dodgeball a little bit, or like a Red Rover / dodgeball, where you go pick up the bombs and you take them and drive them into your opponent's deployment zone, and that's how you get your points. But you get a larger chunk of points once you make it there, kind of like an end zone goalie type effect. So that could be a version of it where it has the same type of towing aspect, but it's played differently to where, where you want a more thematic reason to have these ships hang around the battle, not just run with the supplies. They're running to somewhere, but also could stay in the battlefield. But I do think it's important to have some type of objective that has a sort of check or balance on the ships that are very capable of repositioning.
Yeah, don't disagree. I do think that salvage is a great candidate to get the same thing as the flip one, where it's only 3 of them, because again, it does punish the repositioning ships, but for like the 3, for the smaller count squads, it's just having 5 of them is just really. I mean, it's almost insurmountable in a lot of situations, especially when you're facing against 5, 6, 7 ships and you only got 3, or even 4. You can't sacrifice. You can't get 4. You can't sacrifice your entire list to it. Especially if they're repositioning.
A 3-ship list is supposed to be good at that scenario, just like it's not supposed to be good at, scramble. Or even assault, because you have limited numbers. Like I like how you put it, Ryan. Took the words right out of my brain before I even thought them into existence. Was the checks and balances. In the same way that chance punishes a mobile ace skirting the edge of the battlefield, and assault might benefit a squad who's willing to spread apart, or have just a big, large base that is willing to go into the center to cover command points. What you might see is a penalty to some list. Some lists are craving it because they can't go one-on-one against these highly maneuverable ships. Well, it might be an exaggeration, but in salvage, you started with a 6-ship squad facing down a 4-ship squad, but both your lists are halved now. You have a slight advantage to be able to grab the extra crate, if you will, right? one more than your opponent, and that will essentially force them to come back and fight you. They can't just like turn away and run for time, because there's still many things for you available to pick up, and that's what I think makes what I think the goal of objectives should be is that catch-up mechanic, to where you can't just kill an expensive ship and then just run away for the rest of the game until time, because your opponent has things to do in the meantime. And I think for almost all of them, except for Chance, which is obviously a check on that, right, where you don't have a catch-up mechanic, you're going to have to actually fight this one out. Which they did balance a little bit. They balanced that to where if you do just leave, you actually get a lot more points as you try to claw your way back. So in that regards, they've been very successful to me in providing that alternative win condition.
So basically, we're calling out the boost babies is what we're doing. Got it.
Yeah, it turns out every ship having boost or in barrel roll is pretty good. Repositions are great in this game.
Yep.
And so are actions, it turns out.
Oh yeah. It is definitely interesting. So here is kind of a question to kind of play off of this. So for game balance, overall game balance, most of the time we have talked about points in relation to ships, and now we have loadouts. So, talking about these objectives the way we are, essentially what we're saying is that whatever the objectives are a version or are a part of the puzzle of balance for the game overall. It's one more lever that can be pulled to try to flatten that advantage curve when it comes to specific ships by having different options. Would you guys agree there? Yay? Nay? I mean, I kind of feel like that's a background statement that's being put out there.
Yeah. Well, can I bounce a question to you? DL, bonus question.
Bonus. Let's go.
So if each one of these scenarios more or less has like a check or balance, or like it hurts some lists and promotes others, what kind of scenario do you think that they're not taking advantage of? Who do you think really could use some checks and or a buff in some sort of scenario?
Anything that messes with fire sprays. I don't know what that would be. But seriously, like the fire spray is like one of the you can't argue. It's one of the has been historically one of the best chassis. I don't know how you heard of fire spray, but I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you can only have so many fire sprays in a list, so any objective that promotes more ships will do it.
Ooh, a teamwork objective where you need 2 ships to take an objective at the same time. So you either had to fly your fire sprays close together, or you won't be as good at that objective.
There you go.
Maybe.
That could be something. That could be something. I like that. Now, I want to respond to Matt B14 in the chat. He was asking, could there ever be a possibility for an event where there's our 4 standard objectives and maybe like a mystery objective, one that's maybe for a specific event? I would say, as an event organizer, and also, just thinking about historically. The way the game is, if the expectation would be to have a different objective per event, I don't think AMG has the manpower or the testing power to release that. And if you were to leave the objective creation up to, like, let's say your TO for something like that, that can create a lot of issues over time, balance issues. And I think the more by having everybody doing the same thing. It keeps it a lot safer. We're all agreeing to the same rules by having that wild card option. While I know that idea sounds like interesting, like some crazy objective. If I'm playing in an official tournament, I want it all cards on the table. I want to be aware of everything. If you're doing something locally, go crazy. That's fine. But I think that creates a heavy burden that can cause a lot of issues. Because what if you were at a world qualifier and you lost the final because of some weird rule with a custom objective that you didn't know about? Like that causes some weird interactions. I know you want some excitement, you want some variety. I get you. I think more objectives would do it, but being that AMG took how long to release these 4? How long did they work on it? A year and a half, 2 years?
Well, I mean, you're not counting Droid Ball, and of course the upcoming Battle of Yavin as well.
True. I would say
we'll call it, call it 5.5.
All right. Well,
yeah,
I guess
quite a long time.
Tournament objectives.
Come on, let's play Droid Ball. Come on. D and Farmer tested it. It's got to be foolproof, right?
I'm not gonna say anything. So yeah, like it's there's some time with this, and they did say, I feel like in some interview, that they would be open and or in the future there could potentially be more objectives added. When and what, we don't know. But let's keep it moving here. I want to go ahead and address Doji Brian's question. He asked, where are huge ship points? I know that's not something that AMG has talked about too much publicly, but I know in a conversation I had with them in person, they something along the lines of basically like, yeah, we're doing all this stuff, and I'm so glad that we got all of the points done, and then literally period. Well, except the epic stuff, we know we're gonna get to that later. And we'll get to that later. When that is, I don't know, but we've talked about it before. Money talks, right?
I feel the best solution, and this is coming from me, is that just release a quick build for every epic ship, please. Like, do a standard loadout. Just recommend us something that's
a good idea.
Think would be appropriate. Just so like they can be on the table and people don't have to feel weird about it. Mm-hmm. But of course you should be fine. I'm like, just make your own scenario. Like, you're already going crazy on it.
Right. And of course we're not saying like in normal play. We're talking about
I want them in standard.
You want them in standard?
Box.
You want to play against like? Is that a whole? Is that 20 points? Is that one ship 20 points?
Well, see, you'd have to essentially get the Corvette and the Raider to 14, which I think you have to limit their. You'd have to errata their healing and what's the other thing? Their bonus attacks. I don't think you could attack like 7 times with your Raider for 14 points. So maybe just like 1 or 2 bonus attacks would be more appropriate.
Okay.
But the Gonzati though, the Sea Rock, man, the transport, those fairly like they're smaller ships. Used to be called single card.
Yeah.
When that was the thing, I think those would be fine. Come on, 10 points.
I'm in. Sure. Let's go. We'll see what happens. They could just say no if it breaks anything, right? All right. And the last question we have here, was from Jeff Sanders. I kind of addressed this. He was asking, he said, Dion, the community really appreciates GSP's push to keep tabletop.to alive after its planned withdrawal in October. Are you able to spill any tea if GSP has been able to negotiate enduring management of the site? Basically talking about like if you wanted to plan an event for November, for instance, could you do that and trust that we would take care of it? My answer to that question is we're not at that point yet, so I can't say yes or no. I can't guarantee that that your event will be fine. I know that it doesn't feel great, but I don't want to say yes and you be disappointed. But I know one of our goals is to make sure that this tool exists through Worlds. Now, one reality that we're managing, and I'm just going to be very upfront with this, is so TTT has a bunch of account information for people, right? Email addresses, names, all that stuff. There is a bunch of legal hurdles that we have to figure out how we want to manage that. If it was just a direct transfer of website. So it's like, I own ttt.com now, or whatever. I forget what the actual URL is. All right. Like there's some things we have to, because with the ownership of that changing, there's some issues that we have to figure out there. So as of right now, my answer is I don't know. And when we know, I'll let you know. I know it's not a great answer, but it's what we got. It's what we got. All right. So the other call that we put out to the people was throw us some lists. What are you thinking about list-wise? So if you head over to our Discord and you pull up our submission-only section and you go to list critiques, YASB links, please. There is a ton, my friends. There is so many. So I figured let's dig through some stuff here and give some opinions. Anybody want to go first? Anybody got one?
Are we doing just? Are we remaking it? Well, I mean, what are we doing? Are we just talking about it?
Pull it up, talk about it, see what works, minor tweaks. See maybe if we can optimize some things.
So I put one in there. I didn't know what we were doing, so I put one in there. First order, which I don't know if you want to click on it, open it.
I got
Bring
you.
it up on the.
So who submitted this one?
I don't know. It said bot. So somebody submitted it, and then I just pulled it from the bot. So whatever
Nice.
the bot
All
is.
right. All right. So I'll adjust the screen so that it looks good. All right. So this is a 4-ship first order squad that contains 0 FO bombers. And I think that's important to start with. And Staniszewski's like, this is probably wrong. I see the face, but let's go ahead.
As Ryan is shaking his head, I am of the opinion that the best first order squad contains 0 FO bombers, 0 Kylo, and 0 shaft clouds. I am of that opinion. I honestly believe.
Well, there are no chaff clouds without FO bombers, but okay, yeah.
I honestly believe that the most versatile and easy to pick up. It may not have the highest ceiling. I mean, it has a very high ceiling, but just if you want to pick it up and because the Kylo one, you know, the crispy one, like you need to like put reps on it. And you have to really try to figure it out and figure out like the correct approach and all that. Having 5 whispers with proton rockets, some scramblers, fanatical, or you can, and 2 of them are going to be named Whirlwind plus Wraith, Breath, or whatever it's called. That's basically the old school 5A wing procket list. Like that is that I think has a ton more potential. Just a lot of people don't use it, and I didn't even consider it till again I saw it in the XCC list come up. And I'm like, I don't want to play against that. And I played it 2 or 3 times since, and I'm like, it is. It is. I mean, you have 5 jams around, 5 prockets, arcs in the front, arcs in the back. It's just a whole bunch of nonsense.
Just remember, you can't procket people through the back, so don't let somebody try that.
Well, I mean, it's a bullseye only. Yeah.
Right, but I definitely have played against people and have heard people be like, "Oh, I mean, this. All right, just measure from the other side because it says I can shoot missiles out the back." No, that's not how that works.
You would get the bullseye, but anyway.
Well, you're thinking
really
thinking TTS. I'm talking about people on a table. They're crazy, man. You can't.
So I picked this list for that specific reason, just because I thought it was interesting that it was using ships that you don't really see out there. Quick Draw and Midnight specifically, but also Commander Walrus in the side shuttle. So he has, or she, I don't know who put this one together. Quick Draw with Elusive, Advanced Optics, Fanatical, Suppressive Gunner, not the correct gunner for Special Forces, Fire Control System and Shield Upgrade. Midnight with Fanatical, Mag Pulse, Enduring, and Pattern Analyzer. Kylo, Whisper with Brilliant Evasion, Instinctive Aim, Concussion Missiles, Sensor Scrambler Enhanced Suite, and then Commander Walrus with Hondo, Pattern Analyzer, and Phasma. Competitive, I don't think it's ultra competitive, but I also think that there's a whole ton that can be optimized on each of these ships to just make it closer to competitive.
Can I ask a question? Why do you think they reached for Suppressive Gunner? So, for anybody who doesn't remember the Suppressive Gunner ability, while you perform an attack, you may spend 1 focus result. If you do, the defender gains 1 deplete token unless it chooses to suffer 1 damage. Is the dream, because you have only 1 focus. Is there any way to get multiple focus tokens in this list? I don't think so, right?
Because you've got you don't have Agent Terex, so no.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out why Suppressive Gunner.
I'm thinking just to keep the ships alive a little bit longer, have people opt for deplete instead. But most people just, especially with so many fire sprays and other stuff laying around, like, yeah, I'll take the damage. I'm not gonna pass up on a shot, on a die. But yeah.
So how would you optimize this without changing any of the pilots?
Yeah, so I'll just go through it quick because I know we want to go some other ones. So on Quick Draw, I kept Elusive. I dropped Suppressive for Special Forces Gunner, of course. And just Advanced Optics, turned that into Pattern Analyzer. And Fanatical to Crack Shot. So that was pretty straightforward change there. Then on Midnight, I changed, well, let's get rid of Enduring first. I changed Enduring to Proud Tradition. And since you have Proud Tradition, you don't need Pattern Analyzer. Change Pattern Analyzer to Targeting Computer. So that's one that, it's an easier way of getting Kylo his shot. And then I changed Fanatical to Lone Wolf, just to add the extra points. And you can either go Concussion Missile or Mag Pulse, that's on you, but changed that one to Lone Wolf. Kylo, Instinctive Aim.
This is Whisper Kylo for anybody who's listening.
Yeah, Whisper Kylo, yeah. So get rid of, what did I do? Something is missing here. So I got rid of Brilliant Evasion. I got rid of, what is it, Sensor Scramblers? Yeah, Sensor Scramblers. Then I added Malice. Is it
Not enough
giving you the
points right now.
All right, he's got something there that I don't
Shield
have.
upgrade?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, no shield upgrade. So Malice, Elusive, and Advanced Optics. Yeah, I was wondering why it was so low on points. And then Commander Walrus, got rid of Hondo and Pattern Analyzer. Proud Tradition is better than Pattern Analyzer because it's cheaper, not because it's better. Biohex Codes and it's a tech. And then Agent Terex. So basically it doesn't change a whole lot. It just makes Quick Draw Punch a little bit harder with Crack Shot and Special Forces. It makes Midnight be more of a support ship with targeting Synchronizer. Lone Wolf allows him to kind of fly off in Proud Tradition, also being able to stay alive. So the Lone Wolf in Proud Tradition is just there mainly for survivability. Kylo hits harder with Malice and Advanced Optics. Especially again if he's getting support from Midnight, so he doesn't have to spend his force on instinctive aim. And then Commander Walrus becomes a better support ship because with Biohex Codes can take that target lock early and then coordinate at any range later on. Can jam, can target lock jam, and then Agent Terex is just a much better support because it gives you those 3 agilities, and then it gives you that jam or calculate at the start of every turn that you can pass off. So anyway, I went through it fast, but in my opinion, I don't know if you guys want to take just a quick commentary on any of those upgrades, but in my opinion, that just kind of makes it a more not meaningful, it just makes it better optimized.
That's cool. We'll let it.
Makes sense to me. Yeah.
We'll let it lie. Will, do you want to pull a list?
Yeah, I just put one in there. Let me see if I can see here. Yep, so I got it pulled up. This is from Blue Jello.
I prefer green Jello personally, but I'll allow it.
Really? Do they have flavors? I guess.
I don't like Jello.
What?
Yeah, you're a pudding man, I bet, huh?
I mean, pudding's
No.
fine.
Anyways, so, anyways, I got distracted by
By the
blue
Jello.
Said that they had been flying Z's, but they mostly abandoned the idea of flying Z's, but want to. They're always tempted to revisit them, and they have submitted a list. Says he's abandoned the synced console strategies, which I do think is very fun. Fire control system reroll, and then your regular focus, and then you pass the lock off to the next person who uses fire control system for a reroll. That's man, when it works, but getting that Rune Goldberg machine to function can be difficult. So instead, he's looking at a very popular upgrade right now, Corky Kreese on Hound. This version has Satine to be handing out evades and mostly evades when you recharge your 7th Fleet Gunner, so you can throw those as well. But you can do some other things as far as like handing out defensive focuses. Has Click as you do with R3 and Proton Bombs for multiple locks, so it's easier to activate your ability. Slider with Proton Rockets. Let's see here. Warthog these are all Z95s, by the way, except for Click. Warthog with Proton Rockets, Boost with Proton Rockets, and Stub with Shield Upgrade. So the ones I want to focus on are Warthog. I'm actually changing a huge majority of this list.
So it's not going to be Hound anymore?
No, we're dropping Hound. We're dropping Hound and anybody who's not Initiative 4. Get him out of here. We're going to keep Click and Slider because I do think that there is some good things you can get out of the Z's. But essentially, what you're looking for, a more cohesive list where the individual parts are overall better. We're going to keep a second Z, though. I want the other Initiative 4, Hawk. Man, Hawk and Slider, I used to think it was going to be Stub because it was 3 agility and 3 attack dice, right? But no, I've changed my mind. It's Slider and Hawk. Initiative 4, great ways to move around when you need to. So we're going with them. And then we're going to grab a bunch of other I4s, including 2 Aether Sprites, which I think is Luminara and Mace are the I4 Aether Sprites I'm looking for.
7 or 7B?
Oh no, cheap ones. Just regular 7s. Luminara and Mace. Then we only have 3 lonely points to fill out our squad. And we're going to be looking at V19, who's also Initiative 4. That's Kickback.
That's a name I have not heard ever.
Ever. I know. I'm recommending Kickback. But he fits this mold here of the Initiative 3s. And he's actually going to be our synced console person. I don't know if I guess I could go through all these upgrades. But
everything's Initiative 4.
Yes, that's the main
3.
point.
I was really confused.
Huh? Oh.
You said Initiative 3. That's why I was really confused.
Sorry. I meant that he's 3 cost.
Okay.
So I'm going to give him, as you do, dedicated and synchronized console. So that way he's actually going to be our lock thrower. Because that's Kickback's ability. After he barrel rolls, he can perform a red lock, which gives him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different action combinations, which is pretty impressive. The Jedi, I don't know what you put on Jedi these days.
So, quick question. With Kickback, you still got 6 points. What missile are you going to slap on there?
Oh, probably. I mean, homing would make the most sense if you're dedicated to throwing your target lock. But I think concussion's just overall a better value because it does damage and has 3 charges. But I mean, you can pretty much just throw anything in there that you feel like. I don't know what's good on Jedi. R4P on Mace. And I don't know. Shattering Shot, I guess, is good. People like that. And
highly recommend Patience on Luminara.
yes.
Be able to keep that ability up.
Yeah. I've got Patience for her. And then, do you got enough
Also,
for Foresight?
Mace
No.
might really like R4P17, the pattern analyzer droids.
That's right. P17. So we'll take P17 Shattering Shot. He normally has extra force. And he can't take Crack Shot, or else I would. I totally agree. Luminara really is like your support ship out there. Denying modifications, so keep that strong for her. I don't know what, 5-point droid? Man, they really don't sell 5-point droids like they used to. Let's give her the crit bot. Maybe people will start shooting at her then. If not, she can always just shoot last.
She's got some options now for a salvage mission.
That's true. That is true, yeah. Then Hawk and Slider. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Proton rockets, not what I would have guessed. Because I'm so obsessed with fire control system and dedicated, which only leaves you 5 points for concussion missiles. 4 points if you want to take your own synchronized console, which let's go with that. I know it wasn't going to be a synchronized console squad, but I still think it's very good. Let's grab whatever one. Let's grab some ion torpedoes on one and maybe mag pulse on the other. These Z95s, the versatile frame, man, really flavor to taste on those guys. But they could do some lock shenanigans. But I still like that fire control system rerolls. Then click is perfect how he is. Dedicated R3. The main point is getting a lot of dedicateds out there. Trying to include all 4 to protect your Jedi. Plus as well Luminara being able to help out in addition to that. Now of course you could always switch Mace to Ahsoka, but it kind of ruins the 4 initiative squad. And in this, you actually, like, no one's really that expensive, right? You don't have like a major support piece. Like if they attack Luminara, she can handle herself defensively, right? And I think this is a way to kind of sneak these Z95s into a squad that actually supports them beyond just what a LAT could do, because you got your click supporting there, you have your other Z95s providing dedicated, and Luminara helping out some attacks as well. And that kind of it becomes like a greater than its parts when flown like this. But yeah, oh man, have you guys tried Slider? Slipping around?
I have not.
Looks
The
fun.
I've attempted were Boost, Warthog, Killer, and Stub.
Yeah, I just realized that you can side slip out of a K-turn with Slider because it's a blue 2 bank. Wow, what a revelation! And just the fact that you can choose to do it or not. If the enemy comes towards you, you can side slip. If they leave and go the other way, you just keep doing that regular 2 bank, right? You just keep dialing that 2 bank until eventually you do need to side slip. So he's pretty good. I just can't. Honestly though, I just can't put my faith in Prockets though, because if you miss your opportunity to shoot that Procket in probably round like 2 or 3, your Z95 is not going to survive too much more longer to shoot that Procket.
I do think out of the Z95s he has originally that have Prockets, I think 2 of them are the ones I believe in carrying Prockets. One of them being Warthog. He will always live until you get to shoot it. I will hold on to this and I will shoot you and get that Procket off. The other one being Boost, because he's got the start engagement boost. But it doesn't mean he won't get shot and potentially lose that focus, which is where
I feel
having more dedicated ships in that list is going to be more helpful. I'm hard pressed to not take a Latin Republic ever these days. I don't know if I like your list, Will. I actually think I like the original better. I don't know about all the Z's.
You said to not take a Lat in Republic.
Yeah, I will always take a Latin Republic for now.
That's fair.
Their support,
their support is very, very well
they also even
received.
help the Sync Council stuff. Like they can get rerolls so that Sync Council can pass further. Although I've attempted a similar list with Sync Council, and I just think with Chaff, it breaks it so easily, or any jam realistically. So that's my original concern when I've tried to build it. So I think what I would do with yours, Blue Gel, if you want to stick with the main guts of it, take a couple of Z's out, maybe. Stub with the shield upgrade's pretty solid. Warthog with the Prockets is okay. I haven't tried Slider enough, so I can't comment that much, but I think less Z's, more V's. Get Contrail in there. Get Tarkin in there. Tarkin can bring a chaff, by the way. Using stuff like Satine and Corky can help keep those V-Wings much more annoyingly alive for a long time with 3 agility with all those tokens. And Contrail can take some real upgrades. And with 7th Fleet Gunner, range 1 crack shot Contrail is no joke with LAT support in 7th Fleet Gunner.
All right. I got another one here. This one's gonna be. Let's see. Can we get it to open through Yasby? No, it's fine. This is good. I like Launch Bay on my phone, not on the computer, but we'll survive. All right. So this is. They said experimental Ezra battleship list. We have Ezra in the gauntlet, right? Ezra in the gauntlet. And I do see a mistake here already. So we got Ezra in the gauntlet with Compassion, Notorious, the Child, Veteran Tail Gunner, Contraband Cybernetics, Swivel Wing, and the Night Brother title. Boudica in the... Is that a Fang Fighter? Boudica Venge with Beskar Reinforced Plating. Colby Sperato with also Notorious, which isn't going to work because it's unique, right? It can only be on one. R4 Astromech and Contraband Cybernetics. And then last but not least, Wedge with Juke and Predator. And that's Wedge in the A-Wing, by the way. That's how Juke makes sense there. So, looking at this, so Ezra's ability in that gauntlet, we have while you defend or perform an attack, if you are stressed, you may spend 1 force to change up to 2 of your focus results to squiggles or hits. So how are we getting stressed on this ship? I guess you have the dial, Night Brother. After you reveal a non-blue maneuver, if you are stressed, you may spend 2 to gain a focus or an evade.
The coordinate is right, I think.
Yeah, so is the reinforce.
Okay, so with your actions, okay. And you have 3 force on this one because normally it has how many?
Normally it has 1, but this one has the Child.
The Child. Okay, so this recurring 3 is a little deceptive because it's really just recurring 1 plus 2. That's what it is. And what is Boudica? Do you guys have you ever flown Boudica? Yeah,
that's probably the only Fang that I would say is worth taking at this time. I don't think he's better than other 5 points, but if you're gonna take one,
yeah, I don't think Beskar plating's the upgrade for.
It's not the upgrade, but basically after another friendly ship defends, if you are not depleted, you may perform a bonus primary attack against the attacker. If you do, after performing the attack, gain a deplete token. So ideally, it works best against initiative 4 or lower that are shooting after you. That way you can shoot. Then if they don't shoot you, if they shoot any of the other ships on here, then you get to shoot again. So it's pretty good.
Well, it doesn't matter what initiative, because if they shoot it, you always shoot in 3, then 2.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying it works best on lower initiative because you shoot 3 for your main shot, and then you shoot 3 again, and then you deplete after your shot. Because you don't deplete when you shoot the bonus shot.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So if it's 9-2, you shoot your 3 dice, and then you're depleted at the end of the round to do a balloon maneuver to clear.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
So if you get shot multiple times, just don't shoot the first ship that shoots. Wait till you get to somebody that shoots after you take your
I've seen Boudica like initiative kill a ship. Like an I-6 shoots, and then Boudica shoots at I-6 and kills some other I-4. It's surprisingly good. The only penalty is you have to fly a Fang.
True. Whoops, I accidentally copied these ships.
So, a Fang without Fearless as well. As a no. That's scum only, unfortunately. I mean, Predator Crackshot. Like,
no, you also get do you get the, what's that other new 3-point upgrade that?
Clan?
Yeah, Clan.
Training?
Yeah.
Where you get a focus and a red focus when you engage.
Clan training. Before you engage, if you are not focused and there is an enemy ship in your front arc at range 1, you may spend a charge to perform a red focus. After you perform an attack, if the defender is destroyed, get one of those charges back.
Yeah, I think the initiative 4 hurts her there because the bonus attack isn't her engaging. Plus, your focus should be your main action anyways. Well, reposition into focus technically.
You can also do Mandalorian optics, by the way. So that, basically two free target locks. So Mandalorian optics, and then just any 1 pointer, whether it's probably marksmanship, makes sense.
Okay. So then we also had Colby, just kind of standard Colby. What does he normally take? Notorious? Is he the Notorious carrier?
Yeah, you probably want Notorious on him more than on Ezra because of the trying to keep him not dead.
And then Wedge in the A-wing. I know when I look at these lists with the gauntlet, it just feels unbalanced. Like I feel like you have so many points sunk into a 7-point gauntlet ship that isn't performing a bonus attack, which I feel like that's the best gauntlets I've seen are ones that can attack more than once, which is the ones that can take. Is it Gar Saxon? Is Gar Saxon the bonus attack card?
No, it's Veteran Tail Gunner. That's all you need.
Veteran Tail Gunner. Okay. Oh, there you go. So you get front, back. All right. I mean, I don't know how to address this list because to me it seems awkward. I know you guys were talking about individual ships, but I don't.
Right.
If I'm looking at objectives, I think it has some options probably with Wedge and Colby. You have some options out there for scramble the transmissions. If we look at the assault at the satellite array, you got a large base ship. That does help, right? I think it probably struggles in chance engagement with damage output. And then, which one am I missing, guys? I'm missing one.
Scramble.
No, salvage. Salvage is the one I didn't talk about. I mean, I guess Ezra can pick one up. But I mean, is that it? Like you have one carrier. You basically are folding on salvage with this
Colby
list.
can pick it up too.
Yeah, it isn't like to, but it can. With Notorious, people don't normally shoot at him. Because actually, I think the idea of this list is try to get people to shoot at Ezra, and so he can go out there and tank all that damage. We're giving Boudica extra shots, and if you choose not to shoot at Ezra, you have to shoot at a 3 agility A-wing, a Fang fighter who's probably range 1, or Colby who has Notorious, and it's going to strain you. So it's to fly that effectively, I don't know, but I can see the base of it.
I think Wedge is probably the one. If I'm looking at this, I would say Wedge is probably the one that fits the least.
Not Boudica. Boudica doesn't.
To William's point, what he's trying to do is he's trying to give you bad target priority.
Okay.
And I think just Wedge just doesn't, because
Wedge with the 1 evade.
Yeah, he's rolling 2 dice with an evade. It's just not gonna do anything. I'm not sure what the other that's a 4-pointer, right? Yeah, like I haven't.
I mean, any Y-wing, another X-wing. That's initiative 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Give me a ship to throw in here. What can we?
Dutch.
Can we get a Hawk, or are those 5 points?
No, they're all 6 points.
No, they're crazy points. You can get Dutch, Vander. At least you have a pseudo support out there, being able to hand out locks. Boudica and Ezra rarely take locks. Colby's got Notorious, so he's normally fine with that.
So what you doing out there? What would you do? Dutch dorsal turret?
Chaffed, but like you could do normal things of like ion torpedo and ion cannon.
I mean, you could still take ion torpedo. you could take chaff missiles and ion torpedoes.
I mean, as long as you're taking that ion cannon. And yeah, so valuable. But yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty funny to run your Ezra who loves being stressed through your own chaff cloud.
This is fine. I belong here. This is my home.
Yeah,
All right.
Drake ain't so bad either at 4 points, by the way. You get enough loadout points. You can do, because he gives himself free focuses and stuff like that. You can do multiple things.
I just feel like Jake is out. He's out. He's just doing.
He was so cheap for so long, and now 4 points seems like too much for him.
Because he's a support ship, right? He's just kind of rolling around, being like, "Hey, who wants to focus? You want to focus? Here you go. Here you go." Does he do enough work? I don't know. Like I find the problem of the squad interesting because it feels so awkward. Just like looking at it, it's a conglomerate of ships that make me feel uncomfortable. So I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll fly it on Wednesday just to see. Marcel's shaking his head, going, "Why would you do that to yourself?"
I mean, you go once a week. You might as well fly something,
I do need something different though, because I have to take FO out of my box. I need something different. I don't want to bring that again.
Do you like Y-Wings? Because the resistance ones are pretty good.
I don't know.
I just learned that you could fit Ray, Poe, and 2 Y-Wings in one squad.
Oh, interesting.
Wait, is that what you flew against me?
I believe it's Commander Poe. No, I flew Ray, 3 Y-Wings, and Jaeger.
Yeah.
Ray in 4 ships. Yikes.
All right, and Ryan, was there a list you wanted to pull out from the list here?
Yeah, it's in the list of the week section there. It's
Cool.
above Will's. Speaking of resistance, by the way.
Speaking of the resistance, so who gave us this one?
This was Matt B.
Matt B. Matt B. Matt B.
Matt B. All right, you want me to read it off?
Go for it.
Okay. So we have Ray in the Falcon with Compassion, Rose, Corsella, Finn, and Ray's Falcon title. Kaz with R1J5, aka Bucket, Advanced Slam, Kaz's Fireball, Contraband, and Spare Parts Canisters. Kai Threnali in the Y-Wing with Wartime Loadout and Homing Torpedoes. Wilsa Teshlo with Wartime Loadout Mag Pulse Missiles. And BB-8 in the Pod with Chewbacca Crew. So I think this archetype is potentially pretty good. One of the first things I'm not a fan of is the Wartime Loadout Y-Wings. The health is great, but man, do you get so much more out of not having Wartime Loadout and having a very capable turret, very capable bombs, boosting, target locking, potentially barrel rolling, depending on the pilot you choose, and still getting a calculate action. So let's adjust those first. With Kai Threnali and Wilsa Teshlo, both of them are going to have at least ion cannon turret, engine upgrade, and targeting computer. It's the holy trinity for resistance Y-Wings right now. You start with those 3 upgrades, figure it out later. I have seen people say they like dorsal because it can do the extra damage. Ion control is just so good. And always making sure you have 3 attack dice, potentially 4. Is another big bonus. And having ships float and only being able to take the focus action means they're not scenario actioning. They're not doing repositions. They're very easy for other ships to pounce on. After that, Kai Threnali is going to take proton bombs and expert handling. If you don't care about the barrel roll additional option with expert handling, you could even take Kai Threnali and change it into Shaza, who just end up dropping expert handling, just taking the proton bombs, ion cannon turret, engine upgrade, and target computer. Either one works. Shaza's ability technically could trigger more than Kai's. I've only triggered Kai's like once out of all the games I played with these Resistance Y-Wings. But it can happen. But you also having the ability to barrel roll and still do a calculate is really nice. Wilson, on the other hand, I think is one of the very best loadouts of Y-Wings that you can have. because you have 2 bomb slots. You get Bomblet Generator, which frees up more points for a very good astromech Lars, or L4ER5, being able to rotate Link to calc all white action, but also start of engagement, pick a ship in your firing arc, turret or front arc, and transfer a calculate to that. That's basically a very flexible force token you can give to any ship in your list that's within your arc. Very, very helpful for your ships. In particular, Kaz, who I think can take a lot of benefit from that by adjusting a little bit of his loadout and gaining one of the most powerful talents right now, Notorious. So I think we drop spare parts canisters off Kaz, and we trade in our contraband cybernetics for false transponder codes. Gain Notorious, and then our last mod slot for 1 point is targeting computer. Being able to lock something and pop your false transponder codes on an opposing ship, and then having Wilsa pass over that calculate, very, very helpful. Or if Kaz wants to be very defensive, can take an evade token and have that calculate pass to him. Not to say it's always going to go to him, but he is a very viable candidate for it because Rey is a truck by herself. She really does not need much besides the loadout she has. But I do think that can even be tweaked a little bit. I think it's so rare that Corcella is, to me, very useful. I think it's more useful to Rey to stay on the board longer. We do that by taking, unironically, Heroic. I'm normally very against Heroic. But man, when you can just say I get to Heroic because I can add Finn blank when I've already rolled a blank,
Sacrilege.
it's just easy in that case.
Sacrilege.
When I saw a Ray range 3 roll eyeball blank, rose to the blank, added the
go.
fin,
No.
and heroic both of them. I was like,
Rose the eyeball.
rose the
add
eyeball,
the
yes.
blank.
It was like, I only have blanks now.
Yep. Yeah, you have a lot of weird control with the Rose and the Heroic. It's a great way to control all that. So, and with the rest of the points, we're actually going to take Compassion off. Speaking of Rose, another way to gain target locks, let's do another false transponder codes. Why not? Either they have to waste their action and do it to me, or I'm going to do it to them no matter what. And then with the last 2 points, some people waver on this one. I've seen people like doing Patience and just saying, I'm going to have those turns and be more defensive or guarantee that I'm have a force available to mod offense or defense. But man, with all that haul and those crits, some of those crits can be absolutely devastating to a ship like Rey. And I want the ability to flip one of those down every once in a while. So I'm going to take Novice Technician. For 2 points, I'll take it. And Sneaky, I'm even going to adjust the crew on BB-8.
Ooh. So right now you got Chewbacca down there.
So I originally went with Han Solo Automated Target Party, but I had a discussion with someone that sold me on this. Who even knows what Larmadaci does?
Let's read it together.
Larmadaci is a 4-point crew. While you have 2 or fewer stress tokens, you can perform Reinforce, Coordinate, and Jam actions even while you are stressed. While you perform a white Reinforce, Coordinate, or Jam action, if you are stressed, treat that action as red. So, BB-8 is meant to exist as a massive annoyance, jamming as much as he feels like it. For 2 points, I'll take it to make sure I can always jam even after I use BB-8's ability and maybe not do a blue maneuver.
I like that. You got BB-8 out there zapping people. Bzz, 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 bzz.
So
Yeah, jam them and block them. Prevent their modifications.
So I asked this to Will and he answered it, but I'm just either double checking his answer or just other people might have the same question. Is not in this particular list of that he's got, but in the one that has BB-8 Astromech plus the shaft cloud, basically turning them into the bomber. If you have engine upgrade and expert handling, when you
Sorry, what are we talking about right now?
He's talking
He's talking about
BB-8.
Lega Fossang is a resistance wiring at 4 points who can take Electro Chaff Clouds and BB-8 Astromech, which allows the system phase repositions before or after launching a Chaff Cloud.
Yeah. So the question that I asked Will was, if I have expert handling, which adds a
as a note, real quick, this is not related to this list whatsoever. This is just this is a tangent off of
It's
BB-8.
related to the faction.
Got it.
But yeah, so I was just wondering because I don't know. I believe we'll say yeah, but
Yes.
So
You performed an action.
let's build it out.
That is
Let's
added
build-
to your
okay,
action
so
bar.
just Lega. Let's do that.
We need a Y-wing name.
Y-wing, shaft,
Name
Lega.
Lega. You said
And then-
Chaff Clouds.
shaft
You'll have
clouds.
to get rid of BB-8 from that same page, unless you put up a new page. Good.
BB-8 Astromech, and then you engine upgrade and expert handling, and then the rest doesn't matter. So the question was,
Read intuitive interface, Dion.
Intuitive interface. After you perform an action added to your action bar by a talent, illicit, or modification upgrade, you may perform a calculate action.
yeah. So and then
Then
BB-8,
read BB-8.
BB-8 reads, during the system phase, you may perform... that's the old one. During the system phase, you may spend 1 charge to perform a barrel roll or boost action.
Yeah. So the question is, when you barrel roll or boost with BB-8, so you barrel roll, and then because you performed an action added to your action bar by expert handling, you're allowed to take a calculate, linked white calculate. Then you can perform your maneuver and take your regular target lock action, let's say, and then, well, actually, you wouldn't be able to take calculate action twice, but you know what I mean.
Ryan says this doesn't work, and before I give my reasons, feel free, Ryan. Tell me why it doesn't work.
Because these actions are coming from the BB-8 card. They're not coming from the modification or talent slot specifically noted by intuitive interface.
Right, but it was added to your action bar though.
These are
By
not
those upgrades.
these actions from BB-8 don't say from your action bar. It just tells you to perform a barrel roll or boost action. They don't have to be on your action bar, nor is it telling you to do it from your action bar.
Right, but does intuitive
also from an
interface
astromech.
ask? Does intuitive interface ask if the action you performed was on your action bar?
Yes. So after you perform an action added to your action bar. But it has to also be from a talent, illicit, and mod. These are actions asked for and given to, whether you have them or not, by BB-8 Astromech.
Okay, I understand that line of thinking. My opinion would be that you did the barrel roll action, and was the barrel roll action on your action bar provided to you by an upgrade, like
I
expert
can see it
handling?
both ways because to Will's point, you did not perform the action on your action bar. You performed the action on the BB-8 Astromech, but it is an action that was added to your action bar by...
I did a barrel roll. It's on
so
my action bar.
You completed a barrel roll, which is added to your action bar, regardless of what triggered it. Even if it's like, afterburners. Actually, afterburners wouldn't matter.
Afterburners would also work.
Yeah.
100% it would.
But
in my opinion.
Yeah. So
Which may be
basically,
wrong.
Yeah.
No, Afterburners is a mod, so...
But it doesn't add the boost
You have to have
action.
you would have to have Afterburners
Both.
and engine upgrades.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
But anyway, so that's the question that I didn't know because I was thinking like, I'm gonna barrel roll, calculate, shoot a shaft cloud, and then do something weird, rotate my arc or
to the
something.
forms. I'll concede. I'll concede to the whatever form ruling it was
If we
last.
have one.
I'll take a peek.
I guess the question here is the wording from intuitive interface basically a if you just so happen to have it check?
Yeah,
Right,
so and
with-
that's what
with
I think it
BB
is. Is it
with
on your action
BB-8.
bar?
Again,
Did you do
intuitive
it?
Right.
interface, after you perform an action added to your action bar by a talent, illicit, or mod, you may perform.
Right. So
Calculate
I think
By the
que-
way, Marcel, side note to all of that, it says you may perform a calculate action, not gain a calculate, so you cannot double up on it.
No, yeah, I got that part.
Okay.
But then you can also just focus afterwards or something like that.
All right. This is. Well, I found it. We'll read it together.
Oh,
Got a link?
Oh yeah, post it in the Twitch chat for those watching live. Watch us
How old
live
is
every
it?
Monday.
September 26, 2021. All right, we're getting
All right.
old here.
It's when they came out. What do you want?
Things have changed a lot as we've seen.
Anyways, if this is from Dragoon Ken Katarn. If my resistance wiring has both BB-8 and engine upgrade, and it doesn't have wartime loadout, and I use BB-8 to perform a boost after revealing a blue maneuver, which is different now, but still a boost action. Even though the source of the action isn't a modification that has been added a white boost to the action bar, have I still performed an action added to my action bar by a modification? And Chris answers yes. The boost gain from BB-8 would trigger the intuitive interface ability if engine upgrade was equipped, as the boost action has been added by the modification card. It would also trigger if expert handling was equipped to the same ship, and the ship performed a barrel roll.
And
So
that's
by
why I
Chris's
ask you guys.
by Chris's information, like I said, he references what the boost action had been added by the modification, which is what I guess it checks for.
Well,
yep.
we'll have to see how many other things similar to that it breaks. There's been
Yeah.
a few iterations of forum answered things where, like, man, if you look at the other things that are similar to it, there might be problems.
I don't trust the forums, but they
exist.
I guess the rules.
But yeah, I agree. It could have went either way. They chose that way, at least as of September 26, 2021.
Yeah, and I think the current ruling is basically do you happen to have a white action that was created by an upgrade, not are you performing the upgrade. If
Yeah, because it could be
like
clearly asked while you perform an action on your action bar added by a modification. Like if you just move the word action bar to a different part in that sentence, it does really
or if it
change
was
the
like
meaning.
during the perform action step, something,
Oh, yeah. I mean, that
something
would
like that,
that
right?
would
That
really
would
clear
lock
it up at that point.
Interesting rules. Fun. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to be it for our show today. We have an exciting weekend coming up. Remember, if you're planning on playing in the Oricon qualifier, to go ahead, get yourself set up, buy your tickets, make sure you get registered for that. Marcel had a closing thought or statement. I saw some hand wiggling.
No,
You just dance.
stretching.
You just dancing, finger dancing. What
is it called? Can't think of the word.
What?
I was trying to think of the word. Oh yeah, I'm arthritis stretching.
Ah, okay.
I was going
Gotcha.
to say counting. Is counting the word you're looking for?
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing you this weekend. Make sure to tune in live. We're going to have 5 rounds of Swiss going into a cut on Sunday. So we have a bunch of X-Wing coming your way. Don't miss out. And we look forward to talking to you later. For everybody here at Gold Squadron, be smart and be safe. Gold Squadron. V's before Z's. Out.